if you can get your palms flat on the floor, you can get your ass to grass, it's arguable that you might be able to start playing with some load. But again, the right kind of load with the right intention.
This, by the way, has been talked about by some of the best strength coaches in the world. Buddy Morris being one of them, Coach House, many others have talked about like being able to have a, even Jim Wendler, talking about having like a base before you actually go and lift, and have a base before you actually go and do plyos. Again, I just think that a lot of people maybe they just don't feel like they have the time to do that. And maybe they're not aware, maybe there's not a good strategy for some people until more recently to get someone strong enough. I love this topic, by the way, and some of the people that are listening right now might be like, what the fuck's going on with Mark? Like, why is he against like lifting heavy ass weight? I'm not against lifting heavy ass weight by any means, but there's something's wrong with it. And something has always been a little bit off with it. Going to the gym and training every single day for a sport that you love is an amazing endeavor. And that alone could be a factor in creating a Tom Brady, or in creating a Ray Lewis, or in creating some of these Michael Jordan, in creating some of these monster athletes that we all have grown to love because of the discipline. They're so disciplined. They're so attached to what it is that they're doing. How effective is it, though, is where you start to have a lot of conjecture, and you're like, I don't know how effective it is. And obviously there's just such a wide array of genetics, and there's a lot of things going on. But from what I remember, Herschel Walker was a guy that utilized a lot of body weight exercises.
Pure body weight.
I think he did ballet, from what I remember. There was a lot of stuff that he kind of tapped into that was different. And then again, I remember, I believe Ray Lewis was the same way. I think he did a lot of body weight exercises. He used to do something with a deck of cards, and each card represented how many like reps you did of something, and he'd basically just squat, and he would do push-ups and all these kinds of things. So this topic is really fascinating to me, and it's hard to tell, sometimes whether it's just an extraordinary athlete that is putting something forward, like Tom Brady talking about drinking like greens and kind of seeming like he's on a little bit more of a vegetarian style diet. I'm sure he eats some proteins and stuff from meat, but he puts that forward, and then people are like, oh, that's the thing. And then somebody else puts something else forward, and it's like, oh, it must be this program because that guy ran a 4.1. And then the same thing happens with the colleges. You're like, oh, the University of Miami, that's the best school. Like they must have the best strength coach or Alabama, they have the best strength coach. And it's like, well, they go way out of their way to make sure that these athletes end up on their team. And it's a very particular thing. It's a type of division that they're in. It's like it's a whole cascade of other things that are going on. So how much does it have to do with the coach?
Mm-hmm. Power Project family, I hope you guys are enjoying this bite. Did you know that cocaine increases your dopamine levels by 2.5 times above baseline?
Okay.
Why is this important?
Nsima?
Because, a really cool thing that we learned from Andrew Huberman is that getting yourself into cold water exposure, like the cold plunge, does the same thing. What? 2.5 times above baseline. And you have those sustained dopamine levels for up to 4 or 5 hours after cold exposure. This is why we love cold plunging so much. I cannot say this enough. It has been one of the best additions to our daily routines. If you can't already, just take cold showers. But if you want to take to the next level, get the cold plunge. And Andrew, how can they do it?
You guys got to head over to thecoldplunge.com, and at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject to save $150 off. I keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it till I'm blue in the face, and not blue from the cold, blue from holding my breath. This has been the absolute best thing I've ever done for my mental health. Like I said, I can't say it enough. So again, thecoldplunge.com, promo code PowerProject, links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes. Let's get back to this podcast.
Is the coach the reason why the team is doing so well and performing so well in the field? He could have a pretty big role in that. Or is the coach just kind of getting out of the way just enough to allow these athletes that are really gifted, and I shouldn't say gifted, these athletes that are just fucking awesome at what they do, is the coach just getting out of the way enough. And if we think about some athletes that we've known and heard about over the years, I remember Brett Favre getting traded and going to the Jets. And when he did, I had a friend that was a strength coach there. And I was like, what in the fuck are you going to do with Brett Favre? He was like, I'm going to get out of his way. And I'm going to ask him if he needs a towel. And I'm going to ask him if he needs water. And I'm going to listen to him. And like, if he wants to try certain exercises, cool. If he doesn't, I mean, these guys are making so much money and there's so much on the line sometimes when it comes to that style of athlete. It's hard to really know what's right. You can't just match it up. There's not going to be a study that probably gives us evidence of this, but we all know that there's a lot of guys. So some of the strongest, most freakiest athletes on the team are the guys that are riding the bench, the guys that are sitting the bench. They're fucking jacked. They got some great genetics for that thing of being like muscular and being strong. I mean, I bet you can probably go to a lot of teams and you can probably check in and say, you know, who's got your strongest bench, squat, and deadlift, and that guy's probably not all the time, but he's probably spending a lot of time on the bench.
I'd love to speak on that. Some of the best athletes on the planet grew up with nothing more than hills, jump ropes, and speed ladders. That's it. And a desire to get out of the situation that they're in. I think that's, you know, something we really need to consider. One of my best athletes, after a couple weeks, I'd say a month, this guy's destined, by the way. He's going to be in the big show. He'll be playing in the MLB in no time. But after about a month, that's what I was doing. I was just getting out of his way. Said, hey, he'd show up and say, I've already done my warm-ups. He did them at home so that he could use the tools that I had for a longer period of time. Does his reps all day, every day. He does the homework and then some.
Yeah.
He's relentless. Yeah, that kind of athlete's going to show you how to be great, right? In some ways. You're going to give him the guidance, give him the tools, give him some of the exercise and movements. But ultimately, he's going to be the guy that shows you the discipline. Andrew's on cleanup over here.
Appreciate you, man.
We got John Cena full of
oh, man.
Full of caveman nitro cold brew. Cena's going to be wired as fuck.
He's got that black coffee on his feet.
Yeah.
Always.
That coffee's black.
But see, this is like, that's something that I totally get. Like when I was in college, this is fun. When I was in college,
thank you, Andrew.
You know, before I played college soccer, I never really did a lot of barbell work. I did a lot of bodybuilding stuff because I didn't run for 3 years when I was 13. So that's when I started working out in the gym. I did a lot of dumbbell work. I gained quite a bit of muscle. But when I got into college, you know, the college strength coach started having us do barbell squats and deadlifts. And you had some guys that were going into the weight room and they were coming out like their lower back was feeling it. Like even myself, I didn't know how to squat well to depth. And I thought, oh, because I'm a tall guy, I can't hit depth well. But I just didn't understand how to root my feet and squat correctly, right? So I wasn't leaving the weight room feeling good to head onto the field. But this is what the strength coach thought he had to do. He thought these are the ways that he can get these athletes big, even though some of those movements may have not actually been beneficial for us as athletes. And nowadays in my training, I do a lot of stuff that helps me with my movement and mobility within deep ranges. And I can see that immediately benefiting me in terms of jiu-jitsu on the mats. Guys, we're working hard over here trying to learn, trying to bring our information to you, and we need your help. A lot of you guys watching these bites aren't subscribed, so just click that red subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you can see when we continue to come out with this heat. Talk to y'all later.